always ready. Got to be always ready.
I'm
All
scared of people.
right, BlaKPeople Radio. We're in the box. I'm telling you, it's a great day in Baltimore. And listen, the DH Circle, the Digital Healing Circle, is in the building. The Doc in the Box is in the building. We got Dr. Da, we got Lady T. I'm gonna let both of them say hello. But we're gonna talk about so many things today. I mean, everybody, it's a lot of topics to talk about, but we got a few things. We got Black August, we got the Mandown Montgomery, Mandown Montgomery. That's what I call it. The Bama Beatdown. We got a lot of stuff to talk about when it comes to white oppression and Black trauma. That's our underlying topic, and we kind of apply it to real time things that are happening in society right now. So we got a lot to apply that to. So I just want to introduce myself. I'm Queen of B. I am a host of BlakPeople Radio. We are a multimedia platform. We platform Black people, we expose Black genius, and we disseminate information to the Black community and to other communities. So please take this time, like, share, subscribe, bring them people in here because the audience is our host, is our co-host. So we got 3 people in the circle today. We want to add more people. So y'all come on in here because we got a lot of things to talk about. So I want everybody to introduce themselves, and we're going to jump in and talk, and we're going to have a good time tonight. We got a lot of jewels to drop tonight. We got Lady T. Lady T, say hi to the people.
Hello, how you doing, family? I'm Lady T. I'm a storyteller, realtor, and I'm just excited to be here with BlakPeople Radio. Thank you.
You better know it. Good job, Lady T. All right, and the man of the hour, the man we all are here to see, the man who's going to break it all down, the star, the superstar, Dr. Da. Say hi to the people.
Oh man, you're gonna stop that.
That's you, bro.
I am just a part of the collab here today. Dr. Dennis Ausar Winkler, aka since Sister Queen of B, Dr. Da. Right, that's DAW.
Yep.
I used to go by DW, Dark Wing Duck. I might be aging myself. Y'all might not know nothing about that Dark Wing Duck after school thing. But nonetheless,
that sounds like a B-more thing.
Well, I doubt it. It was more like you never heard of Dark Wing Duck?
I remember cartoon back in the day.
Dark Wing Duck.
Yeah.
High school. Go Dark Wing, something like that. But it was that was one of those Disney type of
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So peace, family. Greetings. Happy to be in the building with the wonderful collab here, Sister Queen of B and Lady T. I told them earlier, I'm just gonna put it on the record that you all are coming here for all that beauty over there, inside and out. It has nothing to do with me. Peace and power.
Love that. You got all my teeth out for that, bro. That's what's up. That's what's up. So listen, we're gonna jump in, and the first thing I want to talk about is, this is August, and so in these times we have not celebrated Black August. Black August is a thing. It was a thing that we commemorated Black freedom fighters all over the country. So there were celebrations in every city for Black people celebrating the freedom fighters, the political prisoners, the organizers, the activists. This is the month that we say ashe to the folks who fight for us, to fight for our liberation. So Black August is that. And so really, it's not something that's being commemorated like it was years ago, but it is still a thing. Trust me, it's a thing. Because now in Black August, the first Saturday in Black August, we had a display of Blackness. So I'm going to kind of pivot into Black August, which I want to celebrate and say ashe to everyone who has fought for Black people, political prisoners that are still in prison, fighting for the freedom of African people, freedom fighters, our ancestors. I just want to say ashe to that. So do you guys know about Black August? Are y'all familiar?
You can give us a background. I mean, I've heard of it and experienced it and took part in it in various occasions. But I mean, you want to drop it some more?
Yeah, because I was just, I never celebrated it, and as I've gotten into being more Black centered and loving our people, I know that it was a huge celebration when we were more segregated. So we were very intentional about celebrating our freedom fighters. And so
Okay.
I want folks to know that August is special for Black people. And I think it now has another holiday called the Mandown Montgomery. So we're gonna step right into that because listen, that's the topic that's trending. It happened on the first Saturday of August, last Saturday, and today we're in Wednesday. Today's Wednesday, and I tell you what, everyone is still buzzing about what happened on the shores of Montgomery, Alabama. What do you guys first? Tell me what you think about it first. What was your first thought, Lady T?
My first thought was I felt good that everyone pulled together as a community to support my brother, who got jumped. So I felt good about that. Never condone violence. Always want to stress that or whatnot. Okay. I felt like I was wondering, like, where was the police at? Like when the guy was being jumped by, the family or whatnot.
They jumped the police. He was the police.
He was the police.
Yeah, security.
The security. I was just trying to figure out what happened or whatever. But it was great. It was really good to see that the community was coming together to help support him. In that way, no guns was used or nothing like that. So it was like old school type of fighting going on. And everyone celebrate. Everyone is like ecstatic or whatever because they're seeing Black people come together to unify in that way. And for me, people were like, having their cell phones out because normally when stuff happened, everyone just have their cell phone out and don't do anything. No phone calls to the police, don't try to intervene in no way, in any type of way. So it was good to see people actually recording, but also intervene, trying to stop, the incident was going on. So that was my takeaway from it.
Okay. Da, what you think?
It took me a few times to like really look at it and say, oh, something's really going on here. What is this? I mean, I didn't look at it fully the first time. I'm just like, what is happening? Then it kept popping up and then I looked at it. I think being a Black American or a Black man in America or African in America, I would have to lie if I wouldn't say that I was happy to see some interaction initially. I mean, I was happy, right? Like oh yeah, right? Like so. But nonetheless, I don't think I looked at it that much to even get there. It took a while to even get there, to be honest with you. I'll be honest. I'm still, to some degree, excited about how they came together. But I also have various thoughts and lenses and different ways I'm looking at the situation. But yeah, I was, I'm not sure if I feel like they was trying to stop anything, but
I felt like protection, and like it's not gonna go down like that. It's like
okay, they was trying to stop the onslaught of the fight.
Self-policing going on there.
okay, yeah, I think they was trying to put an end to some things, huh?
Yes. They were saying not today, not on my watch.
And I'm glad the police was delayed. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm almost glad that the actual police, because he's supposed to be the police of the actual. That was his job, security and securing that dock. Okay. So I was kind of glad that it took a while for the actual police to get there, so we can fully see how humans are interacting with each other on that dock at that moment. Because I think if 10 years ago that would have been spent around to a whole different thing, and I really think that it took time for the police to intervene. And we really need to see that Black folks got some resistance. That need to be on camera, not
we saw a lot of things.
Yeah, we got to resist. I hear everyone say, "Oh, we don't condone violence," but we live in the most violent country in the world. We are violent all over the world. We always say we don't condone violence. Listen, sometimes you got to be violent. I don't condone it neither. And this was, so he got jumped. So there's got to be some violence. You don't hit someone, don't expect for them not to hit you back. So I don't know, we're not condoning violence. It wasn't violence. The man got jumped. So this was a reaction. And somebody got to get their ass kicked. Excuse me. Somebody got to get their ass kicked, sister.
No.
That's just how it got to go down to me. So it was something to see. Them brothers got off of that Harriet. So I want to kind of say the things around this because Montgomery has history. Listen, that's where our ancestors came in the door. So understand our ancestors were sold up and down that joint, the River Walk, and they have commercialized, monetized our pain to a point. So on this same Riverwalk, the name of that commercial riverboat was Harriet. Well, they were calling it Harriet, but it's spelled Harriott, but it's Harriet. That's what they were calling it by Black vernacular. That's Harriet. So they got off the Harriet to come after these white boys. But we're talking about the 334. This is the Gump. They call Montgomery is the Gump, shorty. They came out in the Gump trying to attack a 65-year-old man, and them boys wasn't having it. And then my man got up the chair. A black man invented the folding chair.
Yeah.
So many things going on here. There's so many things going on here. The thing is called Harriet. The chair that was used was invented by a black man. Our ancestors probably came out the water and said, listen, enough of this. And then we got a young 16-year-old. He's sitting across the joint like a man. So a lot went on that day.
So it was like, if I had to think about initial response, I thought it was funny, honestly.
Me too.
It didn't seem real, to be honest. It just didn't. True. I'm gonna tell you when I started. Okay, I'm gonna tell you my initial response. I saw the arrow
of him swimming.
Like, wait. And I saw homeboy.
He was doing it.
I was looking at the video because of the arrow, to be honest with you. I didn't even know that it got into all that other stuff until later. But I was like, dude, like, how did you
been? God, like, where were you?
I work, brother. I mean, sister, I work.
We all work.
I really work. I don't, I can't text on my phone when I'm at work.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. I think one of the funniest parts was when they took a picture of the guy who he came out in his Crocs. The Crocs was like, I don't even know if they was going up.
He walked out them Crocs. Did you see them Crocs?
I'm like, whoa.
They were like anklets. They were ankle bracelets.
Yeah.
A white guy they were arresting, and his Crocs was on his ankles.
Yeah.
He walked up out of them Crocs.
Never.
He was running so hard. He thought he was Kunta. They beat him out of his Crocs.
But my second thought would have been like, man, there's a lot of hurt and pain.
Yes.
In the society. And how clear everyone. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm quite sure, to be honest with you, that the black people took position to whip some white ass. Excuse my language.
You better know.
I'm quite sure of that.
You better know
because they saw this as a white and black thing. Now, I'm kind of curious. I'm not a white guy, but I'm kind of curious, like, what was going on in the white people's mind, on the other side. Because that's I've never seen anything quite black and white as that. I mean, I'll just be honest with you.
Well, I think the black and white came about when all of those guys jumped him. Somebody white could have stopped it. They could. The women were even edging it on. So they had a chance to say, don't do this. Pull those women could have pulled those guys away. Some of the young guys could have said, no, we're not going to do this. Everybody jumped in to beat to beat him up.
But
so it became a white and black issue. Am I right?
I'm not sure white people had that level of racial. See, that's what we call privilege, right? White people is often oblivious to white and black stuff. They often oblivious. Like, did they even realize what they were getting themselves into?
No. No. They had no idea because the river walk was actually kind of empty because everyone was out on those commercial boats.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't know that Harriet was full of Africans.
Think about it, no idea. The same thing to another white guy, and they wouldn't have got the same response.
Nah.
If the security was a white guy, they would have just looked at him. But the fact that he was a black older gentleman or what have you,
you can't tell me what to do.
They didn't know what kind of work they were about to get. They didn't know what kind of pain that they were getting 400 years of what ass whipping. Excuse my language.
Oh wow.
They were getting. And I don't mean to laugh, but I'm glad nobody like died or anything like that. No. But they were getting the 400. That guy, the guy with the chair. I mean, y'all talk about that later. But they were getting 400 years. There was no way they won that fight. It was like Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's the champion. Wow. But Buster Douglas' mother had just passed. You know, and it wasn't no way he was gonna lose that fight because he took all that pain. Yeah, you know, it was no way that those black people were going to lose that fight because they was waiting. You know, like Cedric Entertainer said, "I wish you would." That's the type of ASS. Was it Cedric, Frederick, or something?
Why you got to do ASS after you done said it 5 times?
You know, because
now you spelling ass.
I part of my life. They was initially for the shock effect. Now I'm coming back down to a level view. You know,
all right. So we're gonna spell ass now. Good. So Lady T, what you think? Do you think they knew what they were getting? They knew when they threw them hands that they was gonna get them black eyes.
No, I don't think they. I don't think they thought that at all. I think they thought they were just going to put a whooping on somebody and call it a day, and was going to get back on that boat and have a good time. But someone thought otherwise. I'll say that. Or whatever. I said, not today. Yeah. And I feel like it was a lot of pent up stuff. I feel like, that was just coming out or whatnot. But again, it's good to see people come together. But I don't
condone violence.
It's not good to see people fight. I like to be a peacemaker, but sometimes it's called for, you know what I mean? And it's for them to
fight all your life.
Just be going around putting hands on people. You want to, if you want to give it, you got to take it too.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think that we're talking about violence. We're talking about someone who was violated.
Yeah, I agree.
It's actually fighting their way out, and then others said, "Enough of this. We're not going to allow you to beat him down like that." Yeah. And it became black and white because all of the white people chose to fight.
They chose That's true.
They didn't choose to be peacemakers. They didn't choose to. Huh?
Let me ask you a question. So, is there any narrative about what actually led up to the incident? Because of course, through nonverbal language, it clearly looked like one thing. I'm just wondering.
The narrative is he asked them to move because that is that commercial boats parking space. I mean, that's where they park all the time. And this family put their boat there, and they were up drinking. So when he unloosed their boat because that's his job. They told him to get that boat out of there. And from what I'm hearing, they already waited 10 minutes to find the owner. So the owners never came down until he started he started to unloose the boat. And then you see the white guy come running down the thing. So they were sitting up there drinking the whole time watching it seems to me. And then when he started to untwine that boat and it would float away, they came running and they were already angry. But what it was drinking. They were drinking.
Yeah, that's what exactly.
That was the problem. When white folks drink, they get out of control.
So privilege,
anybody drinks, they get out of control.
So privilege came about again,
and then privilege came. Like, how can you tell me to move?
Exactly.
So I think that's what went on. It was their privilege, and they were drinking, and they became Superman. And when they left, they would.
My man unanchored or undocked their boat.
Yeah, he was. If you look at the whole video, he unloosed it. He took the thing. I don't know what you call that. I know you roped it down, and he was and he took the rope away. And
you sound like me over there. You struggling with that word unloosed, aren't you? You know that just.
I don't really know what is unloosed. I don't know what I don't
know what it's called either, right? But nonetheless, it's unloosed, undocked,
uncord. I don't know what the hell it was.
He released. He was trying to release it.
He was trying to get it out of there because he was doing his job. He was instructed to keep that place clear, and then it wasn't clear for so long, so he was moving them out the way. And when they saw that, they came a running. And the youngest guy seemed like he was the first one to attack him.
I wonder what it looks like for him as the officer. I mean, the officer that he is. I wonder what did he follow the protocols of the organization or what have you. I'm wondering if he is going to face anything. I'm not saying that he was right or wrong. I'm not getting to those debates. I'm just wondering, is his job? Was there any information about his job supporting or backing him?
The chief of police said the man was doing his job. I mean, the mayor said he was doing. You attacked a man doing his job, and they only have 3 warrants, and that's for the fighter. They didn't even make any warrants to the black man. It's only been for the Vassar family, the family that owns the convenience store.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're the family with the boat.
Yeah, they call they're the Vassars.
Those are the ones who own the boat.
Yes, they own
the guy with the infamous chair guy. What about him?
Yeah, they don't have a warrant for Reggie.
Well, did he go to jail?
No, they just said they want to talk to him. They haven't.
Well, they put him on the ground. The little black.
And they arrested him.
Yeah, he's out. I heard Reggie's talking. He on all the shows talking about.
Yeah, he did the little black officer did the whole knee move. And he pushed the white lady.
Everybody got so.
You know when your emotions start going, and you don't know. See, the thing about we don't know what was being said. I know nigga was going down. I know that.
You know
I
that.
mean, we know that.
Yeah.
We know nigga was going down. You know, and MFR and all type of mouths was running. And that's a problem sometimes, your mouth. When somebody's emotionally triggered, shut up.
Well, I think that I can't be as sure as you are that nigga was going down.
I'm sure.
Part of my language.
You add some things up in there.
If it wasn't outwardly stated, maybe it was an inward conscious or subconscious nigga going on. So
listen, the young boy took the first hit. The young white kid hit the black man first. It wasn't an older guy, it was a young man.
Well, that man 65.
He hit the 65. Yes, so it wasn't a man his age. If you look at the video, the first hit came from a young white dude.
No, it was a young guy who had him.
A young guy.
Oh,
and so
holding his own though, like they had the.
He definitely was.
We in Baltimore, we say bank. You know that.
When he threw that hat, he was like,
I was gonna say when he threw that hat, I was trying to figure out. I've never seen that before.
I've never seen that before. You know, that's the new thing now. When you throw the hat, everybody come running.
And it was like the Batman call.
Oh, is that what it is?
Oh, that's what he's doing now. That's what they call it now. That's the new thing. If you throw the hat, because he threw his hat, we done that means come running.
So you saying we have another black invention?
We have a new black invention.
So I thought we said earlier. You're saying an African American or a black person invented the folding chair, and then we have a new black American who actually invented the folding chair survival tactic. Or
there you go.
Oh, there we go.
We got a lot of new inventions on last Saturday. We got the hat. Hat is on. We got the folding chair across your head. We got a lot of stuff we did. Some black evictions. That's it. We got to swim across the channel. Because listen, this brother guy, I mean, this ain't Louisiana with the gators and all of that, but you know, I don't do no Southern water. Southern water moccasin. I can go on and on with this Southern water. Y'all don't know about no Southern water. Southern water, dangerous. And he was in a river, and that brother swam that thing. He ate that water like it was.
He sure did.
He ate through that water. I'm not gonna call it. I don't know why we call him Michael Phelps, because he's a black man. It's a black man that swam. So I ain't calling him Michael Phelps.
I call him Maurice Phelps.
Yeah.
Hakeem.
Yeah.
Hakeem I ain't calling no Phelps. So yeah, but he swam that, but he was only 16. This young man, he said he was
that was courageous of him.
Years old.
So young.
It takes the humor away though. It takes if you just
So a lot of things got debunked. Black people do swim.
Yeah, exactly.
He swim. I'm a swimmer, so black folks do swim. Black folks will hit your ass back.
We'll hit you back.
We will hit you back, and if you get too far, all of us will come. So a lot of things came out of last Saturday.
Yeah.
So I hear this the two sisters above me. I'm not sure if I'm. Yeah, I think I'm below you two.
Yeah, you below.
Yeah,
So I'm hearing you two differ in as it pertains to violence.
I'll let Letty T go first. She don't condone it.
Yeah, for me personally, I always try to find alternatives before choosing violence. I know sometimes you have to fight and be physical, whatever, get into physical altercation. But for me personally, if I can avoid it, when I feel those emotions, I try to avoid it. But in the case where you feel like your life is threatened and stuff like that, you gotta do what you gotta do to survive or whatnot. Yeah, so I really don't try to condone violence. I try to use words and other things, other tools if I can to, that's just me, right? But yeah. That's just how I feel. And that's not pertaining to what we were just talking about or whatever.
No?
Well, you said it. You said I don't condone violence.
I don't condone it, but I was like, meaning like I felt like the guy was he was on his own and people was jumping him. So that's the reason why other folks had to intervene. So that's why I feel. And to me, I think that was okay because I felt like I don't know how far it was going to go. I don't know.
So you feel like it was okay to do what?
Like I feel like it was okay, color stuff, but like for us
to be violent,
to retaliate, give them back, what they was dishing out, they wanted to go and jump people, beat people up and stuff like that. And the guy he didn't do anything wrong. He was just doing his job or whatever. Yeah. To me, I really wasn't really looking at it as a color thing. For me at first, it was really about right and wrong or whatever. I think he was doing his job and with some wrong people that came along and just attacked him for no reason. Is privilege and stuff surrounding that? I do believe so or whatever. I do agree with Minister Saul when he said that sometimes they don't realize that is privilege speaking or they are acting in that way or whatever. Yeah, so I guess that's my take on it.
Well, I'm on the other side of that coin.
Oh, hold on before you go, because Erica Youngblood in there lighting up.
Erica is coming for you. Erica, sick of you, Lady T, with this. Oh,
she's coming for me.
Lady T,
then she's gonna say, I'm playing both sides.
Erica said, "Girl, please."
I'm playing both sides.
I don't know what part you were speaking to when she said I was playing both sides, but go,
my gosh.
I do look at all perspectives, right? So, and I like to hear all perspectives. When I listen to all perspectives, it allows me to gain insight. But what do you say, Sister Black? You see Black box out.
She said she won't put it down.
Way to leave out boxed up and boxed out. So let's talk.
I just really think that the mantra of not condoning violence usually falls out of the African mouth because, but we're around folks who have been very violent. Their history is violent. They are violent in everything, that every structure that they have, every system. Capitalism is violent. Democracy in this country is violent. Educational system is violent. We live a violent life every day, and then we say we don't condone violence. And what we saw was what would normally happen, that would be no cameras. Because I read something where a young man said that's happened before many times. It's just time. This is the first time the camera caught it. And so we're talking about a place that has a lot of history. And we as African Americans, we have to eat our history every day. We're going to these to be entertained in places where our ancestors were hurt, where our people were hurt. This is where they set up their entertainment around places where our ancestors came in. So it's subliminal to me that we are every day being bombarded by hurt and violence and things that happen to us. And so you see a display of this right in front of you. And then folks say, "Oh, well, he was getting jumped, but it wasn't that bad." Yes, it was. And violence had to happen. It should have been worse. Somebody should have got knocked out, clean out. You do not hit folks. Yeah, I said it.
You don't be playing with them.
Yeah, I'm playing. You don't hit folks. You don't. And they say the women shouldn't get hit, but you watch at the beginning. The women were there. They were egging it on. They were hitting. They were a part of it. They want to. You do not get into a brawl unless you want to get knocked out. Okay. So the one who got the chair at the end, I'm so sorry, but you should have not been there. That's all I'm saying. It's like I don't condone violence neither. I don't think anyone should
condone me. I just you guys. What is?
Not condone. I'm not a perpetrator of violence. I don't think that people should just outright be violent to another human. We shouldn't be violent towards each other unless we have to. At this point, we had to. Something had to happen that day.
So both of you agree. Both of you seem to agree on that point, though.
Yeah, and I agree on some other violence too now. So, but that one I agree.
Yeah.
And this ain't the only violence I agree to.
So I can see, I'm not sure I'm, I will agree with Erica. I can see actually how this could have gone various ways, right? I don't think there's one way to do a thing. I won't say I don't condone anything. I think that there's always a time and a place and a need for different measures at different times.
Yes.
I think that, so I won't say, I think that sometimes, and the reason why I say condone, because, and Trina, I'm not messing with you, and I'm BLaKPeople.
Excuse me, it's Lady T. Excuse me, it's Lady T.
Excuse me, can you get it right?
Yeah.
I'm not messing with you, but BLaKPeople, Queen of B, I sure ain't messing with you. But what I am saying is, there is sometimes we say things from very extreme perspectives and points of views. If I can a little bit, when I hear like, well, I don't condone violence is a extreme statement, and also when I hear look, it's some more. Like I hear the extreme come out of you, but you're trying to keep your job or something. So
I ain't trying to keep my job.
She lost it already. She said she wanted more. She wanted
my
more.
Job. I'm fired.
I know that's not the issue. I'm just being a little. You're trying to keep your political image not too tarnished.
That's Lady T. That is me.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh no, that's BLaKPeople. That's BLaKPeople. BLaKPeople want to say we needed to shoot some people.
Yeah,
and everything but that. And Lady T is like, well, I don't condone violence. And go ahead, Sister Lady T.
No, so I can elaborate on that a little bit. The reason why, when I think about violence, I think about violence that goes on in our community and households and things like that. So that's why that's why I say that I don't condone violence. But there are times when you do need to use it. It's times when you feel, like I said, your life is threatened. You need to use violence to get out of certain situations and stuff. You need to use violence to protect yourself. Yes. Our ancestors fought. So you definitely need to use violence. I'm not saying never or whatever. There's a time and a place, right? But if we can use other alternatives, why not? It shouldn't be the first thing that we go to. It shouldn't be our go-to immediately. That's my feelings about it. So that's why I say don't condone violence or whatnot. Because when I speak to my kids about violence and things like that, I want them to try to use other alternatives and stuff. I don't want them to, once you feel angry, go and do some damage. You know what I mean? I don't want that. And I don't even want that type of energy around me too much.
Yeah, I already see BLaKPeople doesn't. Queen of B doesn't have to speak on this.
I like you, Lady T, but I don't know about that.
Yeah,
but what I will say is, I agree with you, Lady T, in the way that you stated that, right?
Me too.
And what I mean by that is, I think that even in these situations, we ought to be careful. That because they was oblivious, possibly. I'm not sure. They, white people are. Let me just say this: there's a high level of ignorance that they have in their safety in this world.
That's true.
Okay, and for various reasons, right? So they could have been more than drunk, but they like you see white women come up to black men and really do some of the most aggressive things and feel like they're going to be safe all the time. And to some degree, I understand where that comes from. That comes from a system that tells you that you're safe and that you are the majority.
Exactly.
And then we're dealing with a hurt people, though. I'm talking about us. When you're dealing with people who have been oppressed and all these type of things, you better think again. But two, I think it's also important, and I agree with what's being said here, but I also think it's important that we don't allow our anger to be manipulated, right? In this situation, I don't know how it's been manipulated. I mean, honestly, it seemed like a victory of sorts, right?
This is just victory. I don't know if there's a manipulation.
Like a victory. I know so many people would say that this was not a victory, though. They would say this is just a feel good moment. You know what I mean? And I could agree to that to a degree. I mean, because I like seeing black boxers kick white boxers' ass. Excuse my language, but I do. But that's a place in me of being someone who's in this society and it belongs to a oppressed group, you know. But the reality is, I know that can be manipulated because and used against us, and I want us to be able to keep ourselves together, not be played. If that makes sense.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. I think, I want to kind of spin it and be the devil's advocate a little, because these moments that we have, because in our community, we continue to have moments and we galvanize. George Floyd, we galvanize. Freddie Gray, we galvanize, and we'll tear some stuff up, but we always fall back into the same systems and the same, because that's what we're comfortable. So we continue to have these moments. Here we go with another moment, and a moment in real time where we saw that it was instigated by someone else. So it almost gives us a place of security. Like, we can whip your ass because you started it. So, but it's still a moment. And I'm being devil's advocate. I want us to think about this. It's like, when we why the only time we unite is in this violent mode. Why can't we reunite for our community? Why can't we unite and say, okay, we're not going to go to these stores? Because see, this Vasta family has a store, so they're living off of black dollars. In some way, maybe not all black dollars, but black people go into the Vasta store. That's why they got a boat and they can be on the riverfront chilling, because they're living off of dollars that we're spending probably in their store. We have all of these things that, why won't we galvanize and educate our children? Why won't we galvanize and you understand what I'm saying? I can keep going on and on, but it's always about violence or something, fighting or something that goes viral. We got to do more with our unification. We're bigger than this. So I'm doing that as a devil's advocate. Like I don't want to attack this situation, because listen, the brother showed up, the sister showed up, everybody showed up, young people showed up. I love it. But we got to show up for something bigger than just fighting. Right. And we can't get emotional. We have to show up and be strategic. We got to get strategic and show up united to actually build systems that's going to help our community. So that's all I'm trying to say. What y'all think?
I definitely agree that we need to be unified on not just coming from a place of, well, I think sometimes, well, let me just back up, because sometimes we can use our anger and hurt to help us, propel us to do great things for change and all that type of stuff. But so I'm not saying that we shouldn't have that there. It's there. We need to acknowledge it, but do something more productive with it, versus just, like you said, having these what you call moments of I'll say outbursts of, like, fighting or whatever. I think we can. I think for us unifying is really difficult for us too, because we're so divided as a people. We are divided as far as gay community, far as men and women. We always have the battle of the sexes all the time, black men against black women. We are so divided on so many different levels. So the reason why I feel like we're able to come together in moments like that, because for that split second, we forget about all those things or whatever. So because we have forgotten about all those things, it allows us to come together. So once we get over those things that divide us and focus on the greater cause, the greater good, I think we can move forward as a people, unify and see, that's what I think.
Okay. That's a good take. What you think, Doc?
Yeah, I agree. And to add to that, I mean, I'm going to preface this first by saying I do think we do fight on all those levels. But do we need more of that? Yes, we do. Yeah. So, because I mean, people are telling me, like, we don't have people doing anything in our community no more, and we don't have
not true.
And doing that and doing this, and I'm sitting here with you, willing to help you and willing to do these things, which can be a little insulting, but I know it comes from a place of hurt and pain and trauma that we've experienced as collectively. So I know sometimes we speak from those lenses. I don't necessarily think they're completely true though. But can we do more? Can we do better? Absolutely. But I will say this. I feel that the pain is not always as pressing as it was felt in that moment.
Yes.
So at that moment, they saw a white mob, which triggered some historical trauma in them. Which when your trauma is historically triggered, your historical trauma or trauma in general is triggered, you go into fight, flight, freeze mode. There's some who may froze, but there was some who ran, and there was some who was ready to fight. But for the most part, when you think you can win the fight, you go to fight. When you don't think you can win the fight, you run. And if you can't outrun, you freeze. Yeah. And if freezing ain't working, then you faint. So the reality is all situations don't have the same level of pain, or it's not such a threat. Like, in education system, some of us believe that it's serving us. So the system itself is tricky, right? The system has us bought into it. The system is not hurting so much because it has Novocaine in the injection. So we don't feel that our jobs are hurting us as much as our jobs are hurting us, because there's some trinkets and some rewards to come out of our jobs. In order to really fight, we would have to change the system. But some of us like our teaching careers, and some of us like our government jobs, and like our status. And so it keeps us in a very peculiar place of like, this isn't working for us, but I like my car. I like my house. I like to be able to go to the grocery store. I do hurt when I see my brothers and sisters down there, who are not getting these things. But so there's some benefits that we get from the things that it works, that we're saying don't work, or we're saying do work, or what have you. What I mean by don't work and do work is always this argument whether or not the system is working or not. And I'm saying, okay, some people will say the system is working just like it was constructed. I would agree with that. And some people are saying the system is broken, and I would agree with that, just depending on how you define these things. I'm not getting to the semantical argument that comes up, because we're a little bit too grown for that. But what I'm saying is, the system itself, it has Novocaine in it. So even though it's hurting you, it feels helpful. So the pain is not there. When the pain is there, when we feel the pain, when we realize the oppression, when we realize it's not working, when we're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then we will rise up, because human beings will do that. But right now, and when those moments where we see it, it's just not the time.
It's just not the time. Okay. Well, that's a good explanation, because I just think we have to take this fervor we have when we see something like, well, yes, I understand that trigger. What we saw was an injustice, and it had to be, and we had to deal with it right then. It's not something that you could stand and pray over. No, we got to put these hands on somebody. I got to get these hands.
I gotta call you if I get him something.
Yeah, we got to get these hands. So I understood what I saw. Huh?
Can I say something?
Yes.
I think Sister Erica Youngblood brings up something really good. So she said, and not just historically for Jordan Neely, for Sandra Bland, for Ahmaud Arbery, Amo Diallo, for George Floyd, and Breonna Taylor. Breonna, I think Taylor is her last name. So again, Erica, I would agree and disagree with that statement. I would say that is historical, but is more present. It's more contemporary. Yesterday is historical. So these are still pains. Like, I don't like let's say if you deal with this on an individual level. In history, someone's harmed you. If you was 5 years old when your parent or somebody hurt you, that is also trauma that's in the past that still lives in you today. But I do agree and understand exactly what you're saying. But yeah, this is historical, and that it may be more recent, but 20 years from now, our progeny would still feel the pain from Jordan Neely, Sandra Bland, Ahmaud Arbery, just like I feel the pain from what took place in the 60s and the
Rodney King. Like we remember Rodney King.
Rodney King is
that was the beginning of this. Yes.
Well, even before then, we talking about when they were getting bitten by dogs and sprayed down by water hoses. And I got sprayed by a water hose from a white guy, but all I could think about is that. So that historical trauma. And now you talk about Rodney King, which seemed like yesterday, but that's definitely historical. Yeah,
historical. I remember that's the first time I saw it in my lifetime where I understood something was wrong. You know, before those things before was really before my time. But when I saw Rodney, I was like, wow, something is really wrong when you would do that to someone. And it's the police. But anyway, we're not talking about Rodney King. But I just want us to unite and find ways to unify outside of when we're triggered emotionally. And, you know, if we can just do this on a nominal level and start building small, if it's just small institutions, I'm not saying we have to build a hospital, but we can build small institutions of learning, of coming together, like TNAD, and we start doing this as a people, as a community. Then these situations, we definitely have something to fall back on. Like even with these, if Black men were being arrested, could we help them out? You know, when that little white young man went to he shot up during the riots, they collected $2 million for him. Are we willing to give our money for if these folks go to jail? You know, if someone is standing up for someone, are we going to stand in and unite around them? I saw Stephanie Mills said she would do a charity concert to pay for their bills or whatever they would have incurred from this incident, which is great. But you know, all of the Black stars need to come in and say, I'm going to do something. Everybody, not just celebrities, everyone. So I just think that we have to find a way to unify when we're not emotionally triggered. It would be better for our community and better for our children. We got to do better, I think, in a lot of ways. And I don't want to attack Black people. There's no attack, please. I just want to kind of look at it on the other side. Like when it's time to fight, we ready. But when it's time to boycott.
Fight, all this is fighting, and I agree with it.
Yeah, so, you're right. All of it's fighting.
All of it is fighting. So even if you're fighting politically, if you're fighting socially, if you're fighting on the education level, if you're fighting in a war, if you're fighting, all these are fights. So that's I'm not against fighting.
You're right.
One of the ills that take place in our communities is that, and I'll just throw this out here. It might not be a popular statement, but I think one of the things is one of my mentors taught me is to fight for a thing, not necessarily against a thing. So fight for justice, fight for righteousness, fight for freedom, fight for this, because sometimes we get caught up on, like, for example, that this could have easily went wrong. I've never seen, honestly, I've never seen anything like this.
Me neither.
In Alabama,
this is the first time I've seen something like on camera like this.
I could almost say, I don't know what that was. Were all those white people a part of the family of white people, or
it was a family?
They were all together.
That makes sense. Then that makes sense. Okay, they were a tribe.
Yep.
Because I think that kind of dilutes our image a bit, and it supports what I'm saying. It's not going to be popular. Is that I would imagine a family would fight. Like I'm fighting for my family, right? But I cannot imagine if I was fighting out at the harbor in Baltimore that all the white people in the harbor would jump on against the Black people. Now, to be honest with you, I know the Black people would.
We're gonna fight.
No pain. We'll start swinging some things. You dig what I'm saying? So now it makes more sense that, and I don't like that being used against us. And the good thing about this is that was a family, and there's no question, like as you were speaking to earlier, whether those white women were innocent or not innocent, because
they were innocent
for theirs. They were fighting for theirs.
Yeah.
Clan.
Yeah.
Now if it was a bunch of random white people out there, I would feel sorry for it may have went wrong. Because
I think it was other white folks, but I think they saw that don't get in this one because they saw the whole. They weren't as drunk. They were able to see the whole. They saw that boat in Harriet with a bunch of Africans. Huh?
They left. They kind of got
no. A lot. They were sitting up in a place where you could drink. It was like a cabana, and I think the folks who were up there saw that Harriet and all those people there, all those Black men, and they're like, "Listen, let me stay up here.
They didn't intervene either,
before I get the business.
But also, I think that's important. I think that's true. And that's at least they had a level of insight there.
They had a level of, yes.
But what I'm also suggesting is this: if one of them would have happened to stumble just to try to get home, they would have got hit in the crossfire.
Oh, they would have got it.
so
just because they was white.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
yes.
and that will be used against us. You dig what I'm saying? So this is a very interesting situation because they were literally fighting for their clan.
But not really fight. Listen, but we got to also speak that Harriet was not docked. Those black folks would watch the whole thing on the Harriet. Yeah. It's not like they were a bystander to this man being jumped. They knew that they were already angry because they couldn't get off the boat in time because this one boat was holding them up from docking. So they were sitting there. They were sitting observing the whole situation. First, they're waiting for this one boat. Then once the person on the shore who's the security talks to them, they see the interaction from the beginning. These black folks are watching from the beginning. When he first talked to them, when he first got hit, when he threw his head up, when it was on and popping, they saw the whole thing. So it was like a television show.
Yeah,
so they saw injustice and they reacted. And those other white folks said, we better not go down there.
I saw that. But what I'm saying is, these white folks clearly was fighting for their clan, though. Like, their actual family.
They said, you got to go watch. You ain't
see care. They didn't really care. So it makes this more of a better lesson because the reality is, I'm just. What I'm saying is, she said, Dr. Winkler, you got to watch.
Yeah, so you got to watch.
I watched it, but what I'm saying is, I forgot what my point was, is that the point is that those white people were fighting for their family, for who they felt, drunk or not, they incorrect.
My point is, the black people were fighting for their family.
The white people were fighting for all black people.
Yeah, and that's our family. That's our damn family. That's right. That's our family, bro.
Garvey.
They fought for
They fighting for the ancestors. They fighting for everybody. And that's what I'm saying, that they would not be able to win that fight.
Nah. So you thought nobody came down there but black people. When they started, after they jumped in, you saw no other white folks come down there. Even the cops were black. I'm serious.
He locking that brother up, but he had to keep his job.
Even the cops were black.
He did the little knee move. I was like, look at him.
Yeah, they put him on the ground fast.
They sure did. He was getting everybody with that chair.
But when he hit him with the chair, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, and another one, boom.
That made me clutch my pearls. I said,
that's what I'm saying. It ain't that man wasn't worried about homeboy.
Nah.
I'm saying
he was angry. He was angry. He was emotionally triggered.
I'm just saying he wasn't worried about him on an individual level. We was fighting for us.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. We saw a justice in real time.
Yeah.
That's what we did. Those people, they observed a justice from the beginning. They were in it because they were sitting on that boat waiting. Most of those folks came off the Harriet. So they saw everything go down in real time, and they got
uniforms on. Like, what were their positions?
They was employees. I believe a lot of them was employees who worked on the boat.
No, the guys in regular clothes were on that boat. They were on the
some people in blue shirts as well.
Uniforms.
The blue shirts were they were personnel from that dock.
They were
the police.
No, they was handling business. I'm talking about the ones who got that
because that was his friend. Because that guy worked with them.
Yeah.
So that's why they came to fight.
They got off like paratroopers.
Exactly. They came to fight because that older guy works with them. Yeah. They all work together.
So now they were fighting. Then those black people were fighting for their co-worker and their friend.
The one in the blue was they were fighting for their co-worker.
Got off like some paratroopers, boy.
But those men who were going towards the boat, they just came up to Harriet. The ones in regular clothes, they didn't know who. They just know it was a black man getting beat down.
Or the ones who came from off the top. And
yeah,
I
was loving the accents. I forgot how they said what she was saying. I forgot, but yeah, she was like, "Oh no, you can't do that to no black man." Oh no, like why y'all gonna do that?
Lady,
like that?
The lady was she was a commentator.
I like the whole accent and how she was making the word, you know.
Yeah, her video was the bomb. That thing went viral because she sounded like a commentator. Every time somebody get hit, she said, "Oh, wow." That thing was crazy.
I gotta really look at it, Erica.
Yes, you do.
I gotta look at. No, I'm saying I did look at it enough to make an assessment, and I agree with what's being said here. But I really want to look at it in so much detail, maybe that I could even look at it very detailed to kind of write about it or something. But I already know on a level that we're dealing with, you know, anger. We're dealing with physical symptoms. There was, you know, I'm using this book here, measuring the effects of racism. The symptoms of race-based trauma is depression, intrusive symptoms, anger, hypervigilance, physical symptoms, self-esteem, avoidance. So I want to say, in that moment, I know we were experiencing some physical symptoms, and they probably couldn't wait to get off that boat. They probably
you can tell. No,
some of them got close. They jumped off. They jumped off that boat. They got close enough to the dock. They couldn't even dock fast enough. Them black boys jumped off that jump.
Hold up, the guy who was swimming or what have you, he didn't jump off the boat, did he?
He jumped off the boat on the other side. There was
another boat
on the other side. He swam across.
What? Hold up. Did he get up? Let me ask, because I see this.
I'm gonna need you to watch the video.
No, I'm
asking different angles too.
But I'm wondering if this guy, did he really wring his shirt out?
Yeah, it looks like. I think he wrung something.
That's what it looked like. Yeah. I saw him throw his shoes off immediately.
Oh yeah, some of
the parodies. You don't know how hard it is to swim. Because I love to swim. To swim with clothes on, like he did, shoes, everything. Everything's good. And to pull yourself out as fast as he got across that channel, and to pull yourself out that fast, that young man was remarkable. But I don't think he did much once he got over there. But he at least he represented.
That was some serious adrenaline right there. That
was adrenaline. Yeah.
That's what physical. I ain't never seen like he was on top of the water.
Yeah.
He was moving. Yeah.
Like, Lord have mercy.
With clothes, everything, phone.
That was that anger.
Yeah, he jumped in with everything he knew.
Physical symptoms, and that's fighting for all black people.
Because you see, when people go and stuff like that, a man would take off his shirt. He tried to get as much off of him so he can swim faster. He was fully clothed. That boy didn't take off nothing.
Yeah, he sure did. He just jumped in.
That's adrenaline. And I'm telling you, that's where our ancestors came through. That's a hot spot for that little river walk. That little bend was where they sold us.
And I think I heard something about what is it? A Trump rally or something was held there earlier, or something like that. I heard that. So I don't know if that really played into it or not, but you know.
Yeah, it was a whole lot. Make them happy.
Guess what, Sister Lady T? I think everything consciously and unconsciously plays into a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could have been. Now, this is just me being like a little consciously or unconsciously. It could have played into his thoughts about y'all. I'm gonna untie this boat. I ain't had that much patience with you. Look. I gave y'all a chance. Because we are affected by everything. What we watch, what we eat, especially, when you're just tired, you're tired. I'll be honest with you, I got a little bit less patience with white people after teaching white people.
I just really think that, you know what, that was an eye-opener for them white folks down there in Montgomery.
Hold on, let Trina go. Trina, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I want to know. I want you to elaborate on that a little bit.
When I see levels of privilege, and I call privilege ignorance, and forgot the other word, and then a certain level of entitlement. Sometimes I don't like the word privilege. I don't think it doesn't really tell you what it kind of can delude or muddy what we're really saying. You ignorant, one, you don't know no better because of your place in the world. You see the world through your centering, and you have no compassion for anybody else. You're oblivious many times, and you're arrogant and entitled. You just don't understand that you're not all of that, and everybody has to operate at your beck and call. You know, so what I'm saying. So that's just my hard core little rooted, let's say, unrefined definition of how privilege shows up. So what I mean is, like, so when you work with, when I work with students, right, and the struggle is this, that most people who are going into the mental health field, they really see themselves as those who can help people, and even more so Black people. Like not more so, they want to help people, and then they take these multicultural courses and all these things, but it doesn't always translate to reality. Like, so they even, I realize they don't even want to talk about racial issues, or even if they think they're so evolved in understanding Black people and being multiculturally competent, or culturally showing cultural humility, or whatever the new term is. They know a lot of terms, but the problem is that racism is so intricately intertwined in our culture, in our brains. When we think we're doing something, we're not doing it. Like, for example, they can't tell because they have visceral responses to me being a Black man. They like me, like if I show up and I just, let's say, I think I'm being kind and calm and all this type of thing, and I am. If you really know me, I'm very calm and all that type of thing, overly nice, all that type of thing. But what happens is, in their mind, he's tough. He's a Black. It's in their visceral. Oh, he's gonna fail us. Oh. He's like, it's all this going on inside of them that gives them mixed messages. That, and they really have high stereotype bias and all types of things. And even inside of them, how does this Black man even deserve this position? Or is he just a diversity hire? You know, all types of stuff is going on inside of people's minds. And these things, although they feel like they're evolving and, oh, you know, we're all, you know, I want to I want to check my whiteness and all that's cute. That's all good. But I'm just going to tell you, it's not easy in practice.
Yeah.
It's not easy in practice. And I'm not saying that I don't really, I mean, I have white colleagues. I think they do great jobs, but the reality is, it's not easy. And you've seen me get attacked by a white lady verbally and all that.
Yeah, most definitely.
I understand, and I see them in a place of ignorance, and I have pity for them. I'm sorry to say it like that, but I don't want nobody having pity for me, because you need to look at yourselves. And and we need to turn the mirror and say, look, we aren't the ones with the problems exclusively. You got some problems, and you have a problem with Black people, whether you know it or not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't have no pity, so I condone no pity and a lot of violence. Gotta tell me playing with them. Listen, when you hit people, you're gonna get hit
back.
I'm talking about when they just speaking from their bratty, entitled ways, because they've been reared to do that.
Yeah.
And that might be stronger than what people are used to me speaking to, but the assessment of white fragility is real.
It's very real.
And Karens or whatever, I don't even use those terms, but that is stuff. That is real, because there's a high level of entitlement there.
Yeah.
So much that you're stupid. So what I'm saying is, it's really there, and they really need to work on that. They
gotta check their entitlement, and they gotta learn history. And they that's the two things that they got to check your entitlement, and you got to learn history. You got to know who you are. This erasure that they're doing with our history, and even with their own history, it only enables these type of attitudes, these type of entitlements. It will continue until we actually be honest about everything.
Yeah,
and I haven't written them off though. The difference is, I haven't written them. Like, for example, I'm not one of those people that think people are naturally evil or naturally this way, or they're unreconcilable or whatever, with these type of things. I don't believe that. I believe this was culturally constructed, and in their mindsets, their entitlement, all that has been passed down. Mm-hmm. You know, they have been reared to be blind.
Yes.
They have been reared to be the special ones, even if they don't know that they're reared to be the special one. They have been reared to walk around like they're free and have no type of care about anybody else. That's why and then we've been reared to be overly careful. Our children can't walk across the carpet.
Yeah.
Us saying, get your ass back here, excuse my language. But that and their children can be all in the middle of the floor, all doing jumping jacks in the middle of a restaurant, doing all these type of exploratory things, and let our child get up and say, I want some water. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is, there's probably a balance that needs to be happening on both ends. Like they need to a little bit more, and our children need to have a little bit more room to explore.
Yeah. Yeah. What we see here is a white oppression, Black trauma showed up. I think the trauma was the trigger. It was part of the trigger. No, the trigger was the hitting. Let me get it straight. The trigger was the beatdown. And then our trauma said, we're going to beat everybody around here.
Everybody wants to.
You know? And so, and then the white part of it is those folks felt that they were entitled, that no one should be able to tell them to move, especially a Black man. And it was very disrespectful. This man, he was not a young man. So you would think you would have at least some respect for an older man, but it doesn't matter when entitlement doesn't have gender, and it doesn't have color, it doesn't have age. It's just entitlement. And so I think that went on there. So white oppression, Black trauma showed up in that situation, but we saw the trigger was some ass kicking went down. And so that's where we are with that situation. I don't think that anybody was wrong. To me, when it came to the fighting part of it, I think the worst problem was that those folks felt they had to beat him down to get their point across. That I think that was the worst part, and that's what triggered everything. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, I definitely agree that that is the trigger. When the family thought they had the right to attack the older gentleman. I forgot his name. I did see it.
I've never seen his name yet, so I just call him the older guy.
I think what I was about to say. I kind of lost my thought as well. Sorry.
I want to know, like, white oppression, Black trauma, how it showed up, and to me, it showed up from the trigger was them hitting the guy and beating him down. And so we saw the trauma that everybody jumped in and was coming. And it felt like it almost was a rebellion against the white folks.
Yeah, I think we're just tired. I think we're tired and we kind of fed up. We have been through a lot with the Breonna Taylor, so on and so on. We can go on. It's a whole list. It hurts me. That we even have a long list of people where we have to sit there and watch it, and all these feelings you feel when, police brutality or some unlawful death happened or whatever. So I think it was like, oh no, not again. This is not going to happen on my watch, not to a Black man today. It was uncalled for, unjust or whatever. And we responded as a people. We responded, and I think we said, not today, we're not having it. It's stopping or whatever. I think we're making strides towards. I think we leading up to something. I think something is big about to happen or whatever in our community, because I feel like we are getting to that point of being sick and tired or whatever. Not to say that we was ever comfortable with it, but it's just so much boiling inside of us, and we're
like a hot pot
right now. Yeah.
Clinically, what do you think?
I don't remember the question.
You don't remember the question? The question is, we saw white oppression and Black trauma show up in that situation. And Sister T said, we're just tired. What we saw was a group of people sick of being pummeled upon. And we saw a Black man being pummeled upon by all white folks who could have stood back and not do that. They chose the violence. They chose violence, so they chose to get them hands. So what they did, they chose the violence. So what we're saying is, really, what was going on was bigger than just what we saw. It was us being tired of being taken advantage of, beaten upon, whatever. And we just showed up and showed out.
Yeah, I see. Wow. I so when I say white oppression, I would start saying I think white people are oppressed by white people, and so even the mentality that of the white people who, with their level of ignorance that we saw in this film, is a result of white oppression as well. Then hence, so hurt people, and I don't think they could anticipate that type of beatdown. But nonetheless, I'm glad that things. If I had to be honest, from what I see, there might be some things I may later recant if more information comes out, charges and different things. But I feel like this was. I agree with Trina early on. Like,
Lady T, African.
Like, I'm sorry, Lady T. And she stated that there was like an old-fashioned brawl, right? And I think that's the piece that helped it not become over the top problematic, because we'll have a different fight had it been, because I just imagine that being in Baltimore and those many people fought a gun.
Yeah,
there would have been some fatalities.
So I just,
there would have been some problems.
And the other piece I have, I think white oppression is still realistic. I'm not sure about this family. I don't know if who they are, what they are. I don't know anything about that white family. But what I do know, most white citizens and most black citizens in this country, or most people in this country, are being played against each other. So that's the piece that I don't necessarily, although this feels like somewhat of a victory or what have you, and I mean, to some degree, it feels, I feel like they got the hand they were playing, they got what they deserved in a sense. But at the same time, that's only because, I think they got what they were putting out. But at the same time, I feel like black people, white people, and all types of people are being played against each other, while the few people at the 1% are still benefiting at us, at odds with each other. Similarly, I think that what happens is that same anger and that same vitriol, that same hurt, that same pain doesn't stop there. It goes to our houses, and it shows up in black people. So that's why I'm very careful to say whether I condone or not condone, or I think there's a time and a place, but I think as Sister Trina said, violence is the last resort. But I would hate again to see this thing be used against us, and I know that there's a problem in our own community where we take it out on each other because of that same trauma. So I think there's a healing that needs to take place within all communities in this country, because this country is oppressive to everyone.
Yes.
Society is oppressive to everyone. Some are lower on the rung, such as our people. We just find ourselves to be the scapegoats and the footstools of many, and that's why it hits us in a different way. We've been oppressed in this country. We've been enslaved. We've been chattel slaves, enslaved. We've been through so much, and other people have been through things as well, not to the same degree or magnitude, but even the nuance and degrees has them thinking that they're privileged. Like white people in Appalachia, they can be as poor and downtrodden and even less educated.
Yes.
But somehow that level of that proximity to whiteness has them deluded and blind, thinking that somehow that Trump is going to help them, or the Republican Party or any of these parties are going to help anybody as it currently stands. So there's a lot of us being played against each other, and and I'm not deluded to realize that they will hurt you, kill you, harm you, and any of that type of thing. But I do also empathize for the level of ignorance that has been inflicted upon them.
Well, you know what? I just had an epiphany, because you just said something. You said white people oppress white people. And then you ended in saying we're all being oppressed, and it is so true. And we all, and that was why race was started, and the color, and all of this is about division and the chaos that it brings amongst people. And now, as we see, it's manifest in the behavior and how people treat each other, how people think about each other. It's these baked in thoughts that comes from oppression. So almost. Well, our underlying topic, I think, might has to change. That oppression is just so diabolical. It actually affects everyone, and we're all being triggered, and we all continue to display these behaviors that come from oppression. It is a tool that we digest differently, but we all act out and manifest it in a way. And what we saw was how oppression with these white folks and their total entitlement ignorance and how they move around in the world, they acted upon that. And then we acted upon what our ancestors went through. We in Montgomery, Alabama, damn it. We're in the gum. Right. We're in the 334. And you coming at that, and all these black folks around, and you feel you still have this modicum of entitlement. So you see what happens to us. We triggered, and we saw everything. We saw Rosa Parks, we saw Martin Luther King, we saw Malcolm. We just want to whip some ass. So everybody was angry. So this oppression thing is, Brother Dar, is like, it's bigger than just color. It is falling upon all of us, and we're reacting to it. And this violence that we see is a problem for all of us. But oppression is built into a lot of this. Do you think? Did I get that right?
I think you beautifully said. Well, Trina, you go ahead. I saw Trina with something going on over there.
Go ahead, Lady T. It's Lady T. I mean, what is wrong?
Yeah, no. I was just about to say, I definitely agree that the system is just playing us all, basically. Yeah. And it's playing out the way it's meant to play out. I think you mentioned that earlier, Dr. Winkler. Yeah, but how do we get out of it? That's the whole thing. I think how do we get out of it? And I think maybe part of it is talking about it. Like, we don't really talk about race together. It's a difficult situation or whatever. Come to realization and see our part in what we play in it as well. Can we do that? Can we do the hard work or whatever as a society? I don't know. Yeah, realistically, it may not be in my lifetime, but yeah, I think you dropped some deep stuff on us, minister. Doctor, brother, minister.
He everything, doctor, brother, reverend.
Yeah, he a little bit everything.
He everything.
I agree. And in our lifetime, and some of us will get triggered by even this conversation. Like, what are they talking about? Because white people, in some people's minds, they don't really understand totally how human beings really work, and how to some degree we're all victims, and how most of us victims will become the best victimizers at some point if they don't check themselves.
That's a word.
And how, like you said, race is has it is, like some people have heard recently debating whether it's a social construct or not. It is. It definitely. I mean,
it is a social construct. Exactly what it is.
But I'm not. But and then they talk. Some people coming from a place of ignorance, and I'm talking about in some of the communities that I frequent. And sometimes they're saying that the white people are making this new philosophy up that race is a social construct, and this is what's being said. But and they're trying to make everybody one color. But no, that's not really what's happening. What's really happening for the most part is that those who are in these, I guess, academic communities and what have you, they're saying race is a social construct, but we have to be careful not to fall victim to color blindness. And what that means is that, a lot of white people say that I don't see color when they say that's a goddamn lie, because we all see the different hues and different shades and complexions and all these different things that we have. But when we talk about race and racism, what happens is Cleo Monago says everything is a social construct. Absolutely. So so what we had is I think I lost my train of thought. Where was I going at, family?
We can't know where you was going.
So what we say is that race is not a social construct, and we say that so race in its inception was really to put us at the bottom. You understand? So I think we really have to understand that. I'm not saying race and racism is different than acknowledging and identifying and seeing different hues. Because to be black was to be inferior, lazy, all these type of attributes just are not us. And it was institutionalized and even impressed in people's minds to believe these things. And this is what we're dealing with: people who believe these things on a conscious and also subconscious level. So even when they think they're consciously doing the work, I'm talking about our white brothers and sisters, when they think they're doing the work, they still have these subconscious or unconscious and visceral, the body keeps score type of things going on that has them responding, reacting, and acting out in ways that just below the conscious level. Even yes.
So yeah, oppression is a diabolical thing, and it affects us all in some way. We see it play out in different ways. In the Mandown moment we had in Montgomery, we saw it play out. We saw emotions take over, but it was triggered by violence, and was triggered by a beatdown. And then everyone got violent. That's what actually happened. And so now you see the response from the Black community as this united front. And I even have seen what other folks, the younger folks, have said, we are our ancestors, we fight. And I think we need to get ourselves together too, because why we are here today is because our ancestors fought.
That's right.
That's all they did was fight.
Exactly.
So every time you say
you're not your ancestors is ignorant. So we got to get ourselves together.
So every time you said it was triggered by a beatdown, one thing comes to my mind.
What's that?
I don't really think it was triggered by a beatdown alone, right? I think it was triggered by white people who've been identified as white people putting their hands on this man.
Yeah.
I think we would have had a total different response if it was just, we have to bring in this white piece as well, because I think that right there is important. And so again, I think I was saying racism is so complex. Race is so complex. I'll say it like this: even when it's just go ahead, Sister. You about to say something?
Yeah, no. I was about to say. So, do you think the folks on the boat, they see their own oppression, like when they went? Maybe it was triggering because they saw like events that their own experience. They probably reflected on their own experience with a time when somebody was, felt that they had privilege or whatever, and justice wasn't done, or like, I'm going to take it out. Like, I think they were just like, hey, I'm like, again, go back to being tired. This happened to me. This happened to this guy, and we're not going to let it go down like this. This is part of what I think part of that was the case or whatever. I think the trigger was the beatdown, and then also, reflecting on maybe an incident, probably that happened. I definitely know. I don't know too many Black people who don't have a story.
So the trigger is what you said, but triggers will take you back to the trauma.
Yeah, exactly.
So what you're speaking to is the trauma, right?
Trauma.
So
okay, yeah, exactly.
It reminds you of all those things, and then you respond to that trauma.
Yeah. But I think also we would have, if it was an older white gentleman getting beat down, I don't think they would have did that to a white gentleman, first of all. But if it was an older white gentleman, I don't know if those Black guys would have came at him like that, but they would have came hard too. I think we're not the people who would allow that type of beat down in front of us. I don't think anyone would allow that type of beat down. But when it became black and white, because all the perpetrators were white.
Someone argued with you.
Who was arguing with me? Well, let's go to our audience for a minute. Let's because we 120 in. Let's go because Dr. Monago, he's coming. So he said race is a socially imposed phenomena created by vicious human bullies with a lethal inferiority complex that puts Black people particularly in danger because they feel particularly challenged or inferior to us. What do you think about that?
I think it's I think it sounds close to what Dr. Welsden says and some others. I think there is some. So when people say that, right? I think it's more at a subconscious level. So I'm kind of like so I have to be clear to say that sometimes these things are very subconscious. Now let me read this thing.
Well, we didn't see anything. We saw maybe the behavior was subconscious, but we saw an actual action. We saw action of this behavior. We saw an actual fight. So it's not just subconscious.
The behavior is the fight.
Yes, but we saw that they didn't act. So you're saying they acted out of their subconscious?
Let's be clear, right? So we have thoughts, right? And then we have feelings, and then we have behaviors, right? So we can have conscious thoughts, and we can have subconscious thoughts. Yes. So the conscious thought is not necessarily what they physically did, right? The behavior is the behavior. So sometimes we don't realize like why I'm responding to Trina when Trina cuts me off. More like I might have a brother on here, and I might not be responding to him in a very animated way. But as soon as Trina cuts me off, I'm becoming animated because I have these unconscious or conscious thoughts about my mother that now that Trina now reminds me of consciously and or unconsciously, and now I have physical reactions to that, and then I behave to that. Does that make sense?
Okay, well, he said they have control issues and need to control Black people, but they did not get that at the riverboat. Thank you, Brother Monago. Thank you, Brother Cleo. You always come through. They got them hands. I love it.
They have control issues and need to control Black people. They did not
get at the riverboat.
He said they didn't get it at the riverboat. I love it. That's true. Yeah, so and he's right. They do have control issues.
That's what we talked about. They have a high level of entitlement, and hence we want to control and dominate. It's been bred into them.
Yes, that's it. That's it. I mean, this has been. I wish we can continue to talk about this thing because it was highly volatile. It's been volatile, but even the media they cannot negate what started it. They cannot spin this one.
No,
that's what I love about this one. It's seated in white violence, and you cannot spin it. The women were violent, the men were violent, the young people violent, everybody was violent.
It was a mob.
Some will argue against you, right?
What would they say?
They would say, "Well, why do you have to bring race into this?"
What?
Why couldn't? No, I'm saying what people would say. Now we have to really be open and ready for all the arguments, right? So some would say that this had to do with this man's boat or what have you and this guy was just a drunk guy. He wasn't a drunk. It doesn't have to do with race. You understand? So what do you say to that? I'm not saying I suggest that. I'm just saying this is what the argument would be.
What I say to that then, if it was that, it has nothing to do with race. Then the other people who came down, because some of them could have been drunk, everybody didn't have to be super drunk or whatever they were, but someone could have said, we're not going to fight and beat him down. Someone out of that group could have said, if it wasn't, they could have said, listen, we're not going to do this, but then no, they got in tribal. You hit one of us, you hit all of us, and so here we go, we're going to beat you down. But then when the big tribe came off the boat, it's another, we want to spin it. Why does it have to be race? I don't think they were reacting to a white security guard that way. That's first. And I think that it was disrespectful. First, this is an older man, and a young man was the first one to hit him. So it was disrespectful in a lot of ways. So I think that it was race, and they didn't like a black man telling them to move and touching their boat. He touched their boat, and that was a problem.
So in so many ways, this can be race, right? And I think racism is so complex. Even good old white people think that they're not racist, but they could even think, literally, they could think that they're good old white people. I'm just saying this. I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying they could believe that they're good old white people, and race had nothing to do with this. This had to do with nothing. But race is definitely a part of it. They could think they're good old white people, but white entitlement, white fear, white over response, white privilege, all that type of thing. is definitely almost impossible to that not to exist here at all.
But it's hard for us to not forget. And Brother Cleo said it, and we're in the GUMP. We're in Montgomery, Alabama. We're in the 334. We're in a spot where we know there is some issues. There is a legacy of selling Africans. There's a legacy of now they've monetized the same spot where they sold your people. Now you got to pay to ride the boat. That's called Harriet. I'm sick of them. So they monetize your pain, they commercialize your pain. You bring your children to your pain, and then they're gonna hit your older gentleman, and they're gonna jump in front of you. We're in Montgomery. You got to get beat down. You got to get these hands and this chair. You got to get it. And so we got to understand that not only did this happen, but it happened in Montgomery, Alabama. The legacy of Montgomery, Alabama, the things that Black folks go through down there in the GUMP. They go through a lot of racism down there. So we're talking about almost a powder keg. Oh, you think you're going to do this and we watch you do it? No, you're going to get these hands, these chairs, whatever we got. They threw the woman in the water. I'm like, yes, throw them all in the water. Enough.
Well, let me say this to Dr. Cleo and Erica Youngblood.
They coming.
It's important to ask all sides of the questions. It's very important to ask all questions because we are having a conversation. So we talking about intellectual warfare as well. Dr. Cleo has talked about lots of thoughts and even subconscious thoughts and all these type of things and how white people have inferiority complex and all this type of thing. So why should we even consider that? So what I'm saying is, it's just a conversation.
Yeah, he said cellular memory, and they had some memory, but right now they can't remember with them black eyes.
Yeah, so I mean, it doesn't really make sense. Because the cellular memory is memory, right?
Whatever, it's memory, and they're gonna remember them two pieces. They're gonna remember them fists. They're gonna remember them feet, them size 11 and 12.
Those fists.
They're gonna remember that white folding chair that black man invented. They're gonna remember all of that.
Yeah.
Because what you got to understand is that was them doing what they do. That's what I really think. I think this is what they do. They were doing what they do, and they really get away with doing what they do. But this time, the revolution was televised.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what happened. What you think? Closing remarks, Lady T.
Well, I think either way you spin it, from a white person's perspective, Black people's perspective, either way, they were wrong. They was in the wrong, no matter what. And again, I guess my closing remark would just be, I think we just we us Black people saw our victory. We had our victory. I feel like that's what that was for us.
A victory. Okay. Dad, we're gonna let you do the last remarks because you got to come with your assessment.
Yeah.
We're gonna let you go last. And don't come with thinking about no white folks. Don't make me angry today.
Oh, don't do
it.
Don't turn up since Cleo got on here.
No, I've been Cleo. I know because Cleo got my back. I should have.
I know. I'm gonna tell you my assessment. When Cleo got on her,
Cleo should have been on this panel.
I can't. I gotta be able to talk and have a conversation.
And Erica, in the circle. These two should have been in our circle because they hot and short. They tearing this thing up. But anyway, my assessment to the whole situation, as I said, I hope that we use these moments that we're having because we continue to have these moments where Black people are being either killed. They're either being violated. They're either being whatever is happening by the other people, them people. So I think that we have to use these type of moments, but more than just uniting around our emotional trigger, we need to unite across the board, and we need to build institutions in our community that comes from unification and also comes from just being Black centered and being something that we can build in our own community. I think we get riled up over things like this. And it is important because they needed a beat down. I agree with the violence. Listen, I am not on the other side. Lady T is on the other side. I condone this violence right here. I love it. But what I'm saying is we have to do more than throw hands. We got to find a way to deal with our wallet. We have to find a way to how we eat. We got a unification, and fighting it comes on a lot of fronts. And I think we only fight when we have to, like this emotional trigger, and then we fight. But we have to fight all the time, and we have to fight for our children. We have to fight all the time. So that's what I got from this. Yes, what happened to me was all warranted. We saw everything debunked in this situation. Black people swim. We saw a Black young man take that water like no other. We saw Black men jump off the Harriet with their shirt off, ready to go. We saw we saw just a combination of Black people saying enough. And it feels good. It feels good that we can come to each other's rescue. So that's what I got from that. But we got to take this further.
So, in closing for me, Brother Cleo actually answered the question that he said I shouldn't even consider. He said it was cellular memory. You understand? So what he did was help support and give you something to think about to the very oppositional question that I was posing. I think we should consider all sides. Anybody who tells you that you shouldn't consider all sides, they're not being scholastic. I'm not saying you have to agree with all sides, but you should consider all sides.
Scholar. I'm not.
No, I'm not talking about you.
Beat him down.
Cleo is a scholar. And Erica Youngblood sounds like she's a serious scholar. So what I'm saying is, anytime somebody tell you not to consider all and look at all types of angles, just because that's coming from a place of fear. Understand? So I don't think that we have to be fearful to consider things, to dissect things, to analyze things. And we can still hold our positions true. That's kind of like people say, I'm Christian, but I don't want to pick up a Quran because I don't even want to look into it because I'm afraid I might lose my religion. I'm not going to lose my blackness because I consider and looking at all the details and all the data. So, I mean, that's just me. I'm grown up like that. But what I'm saying is this. Again, I agree with the brother here when he says this very clearly. He said this was not a victory. He said this is and I agree with that. And I think that it made him feel good at this time. And I'm not saying it shouldn't feel good because it felt good to me. You understand? But I know that this is not a victory. And in a holistic way, I think that most of you will diverge with me is I think we all being played against each other, black, white, everybody's been played against each other. And as long as we keep using the same tactics, we're going to continue to have the same problems. And that's why we have problems against, like Trina was saying, we have problems with same gender loving community, as Brother Cleo speaks about, because we use the same damn tools.
Yeah.
Look, everybody's afraid. Everybody's operating from a scarcity model. Everybody's operating him against me. And as long as we continue to do that, Cleo, your fight is going to continue to be black people saying that you are not a revolutionary, not a Pan-Africanist because you are a supporter for of same gender loving people, which I wholly agree with you that we can be black and also same gender loving and also be for our people. But because people are operating from these scarcity models and don't want to consider other sides and other perspectives and other realities, we have these issues. Peace and power.
We was talking. What can you now say about this? I want you not to Cleo, because these scholars got the scholar stuff. Me and Lady T are not scholars. We been saying the beat. She's non-violent and I'm violent. That's what we are. And y'all are not. So what I want you to do is react and end this with what happened. And when it comes to oppression and what happened at the Montgomery Mandown moment.
What you want me to say? You want me to close it out with saying?
Yeah, I want you to close this out.
With saying, I think I did close it out.
I don't know.
It just happens to be that we should consider everything. It just happens to be that we should not continue to get played by the powers that be in the society against each other, even white people. We should stop being played against each other as it relates to our gender differences. We should stop being played against each other, even if it's our colorism differences. We need to stop getting played against each other. But then I understand why this hand was dealt and why they got that work. I understand that.
Okay. As long as you understand they got that work. That's all I want to hear. Erica says she needs your contact info. She need to fight you. She's sick of you. She is sick of you, Doctor.
I need your contact info so we can fight.
Yeah, Doc, she's sick of you. Erica, I got you. He ain't in the 334. I got you. I'm gonna make sure you get his info. So she said we ain't considering shit. This girl,
what I'm saying is, as long as we don't consider things, we're going to be operating from a traumatic place, and we don't want to be in control of how we respond or react. We'll just be reacting. So we need to consider everything. We need to get a hold of our trauma. And his brother Cleo talks about this trauma trance. I heard him talk about on your show last time.
Yeah. I want to be on the show with Dr. Winkler. I can't wait.
I don't
we got to make this hot. Lady T is gonna be horn and popping.
Oh wow, yeah.
I wouldn't even get on the show with Brother Cleo.
You getting on the show with Brother Cleo? Hush your
I wouldn't even get on the show, to be honest with you, because logic and sometimes emotionalism and things of that nature kind of don't mix well when we're talking from a balanced state place.
Listen. It is important for our scholars to interact as much as it's important for us as lay people to interact with our scholars. So I want to hear none of that foolishness you're talking about. This is the digital healing circle, and we all going to be on this circle.
I don't want no fight.
Cleo can coexist.
I don't want no beefs.
You about to get the smoke. Y'all can coexist.
You might put the shadows on me or something.
Y'all can coexist. So listen.
Y'all give me a call. 443-333.
Noise. Don't put your number out there.
My number's everywhere. What are you talking about?
I know, but right now we about to end this. We're an hour and 40 minutes in. And Cleo, like, who emotional? I love it. So anyway, listen.
I didn't say you was emotional.
Oh, yes. Lord. Lady T, do you see this problem I'm having?
Oh, yeah. Everybody coming for Dr. Winkler today.
Yeah, everybody coming for him right now. They sick of him because they sick of him right now. But this has been a very vibrant conversation. I think we can continue it. I sure would like to have these two in the circle because they're very, very, very hot to try. So we can really expand this conversation because it's bigger than what we saw is why we're having it. But the healing starts in examining it and then actually curtailing the behavior into something positive. I think that's what we need to do. We need to curtail this behavior into something positive. So, I really enjoyed this. This DHC was hot. This has been the Digital Healing Circle number 5. We're in the 5th iteration where every month, we're coming on next month. We're going to do this again. Lady T, you might join us again, sis. I hope you're welcome. Okay. We love having you. You're so calm and you're so nonviolent. We might need you.
Yeah, so I'm a lot of peace work.
Yeah, you peaceful, but I'm violent.
She's part of the DHC. She's part of the DHC.
Yeah, she's part of the DHC.
We're going to keep her coming.
Yeah, we're going to keep her coming. Cleo, we're coming for you.
Y'all can't come in the Digital Healing Circle. We might, look.
I gotta put Cleo in here one time. We gotta have y'all in here coming in. I love it.
My mentor taught me not to really debate like
that. Whatever. So listen, I appreciate you guys. Erica, Youngblood, thank you so much. You have been there. We love your interaction with us.
Oh today.
Yeah. Come back next month, Sister Erica, and come back next month. Dr. Cleo, I was watching your show. I ain't come for you though.
Lord!
I told you I ain't want Cleo up on here, right?
Oh, listen, guys, subscribe, share. We really would love to do this sometimes live, so we can see you. You can interact with us. So. Subscribe, share, so we can build it up to that point where we invest in this enough to make it a live situation. Because it'll definitely be more beautiful. We can see the people, interact with them, and really make this circle something that kind of touches people in a lot of different ways. So please share, subscribe. Thanks for coming, everyone. BlaKPeople, we up and out of here. We boxed up and out. Can I get some deuces from the crew? We going, y'all. Good night, Erica. Good night, Cleo.
Good night.
It's not peace, it's called fight. No deuces.
Stay there.
No deuces. You say, how you gonna say peace after we talk about warfare?
Peace.
Fight for it.